Who actually wrote the Quran? According to non-Muslims, even Muslims don't think Muhammad wrote the Quran. They believe it contains the literal word of God. God revealed the Quran to Muhammad. The revelations occurred over roughly 23 years. They took place during Muhammad's meditations. Sometimes revelations came in visions. Sometimes Muhammad heard sounds and voices. The prophet couldn't read or write, so he memorized the messages. Some revelations came unexpectedly. Others responded to events in Muhammad's life. The first revelation was the word read. Muhammad was frightened at first, but he came to accept his role as God's messenger. The angel Gabriel played a major role. Muslims believe Gabriel transmitted the Quran from God to Muhammad. Muhammad recited the verses and messages to his followers. They memorized and wrote down the words. They used whatever materials were available. These included parchment, stone tablets, shoulder blades, ribs, palm fronds, and scraps of leather. By 632 CE, Muhammad had received the entirety of the revelations, but there was no single physical book yet. After Muhammad died, Abu Bakr ordered scribes to make a written copy. Abu Bakr was the first caliph. Scribes like Zayd ibn Thabit and Ubay ibn Ka'b gathered incomplete manuscripts. Uthman saw the need for one accurate Quran text. Around 650 CE, he told a committee to produce a standard copy. This set the order of chapters we see now. Uthman sent copies to major Islamic areas. He ordered other versions to be burned. The words have stayed the same since then. This is the official story of the Quran. Muslims accept it without a doubt, but modern scholars question it. The story comes from sources centuries after Muhammad. One big issue is evidence that the Quran existed before Muhammad. Old manuscript fragments have been found. Carbon dating shows they predate Muhammad. The Quran has farming and geography references. These don't fit the dry Arabian Peninsula. It's written in an old Arabic dialect. Early Muslim scholars agreed it wasn't Muhammad's tribe's dialect. The Quran can be divided into two layers, an earlier one and a later one. Muslim tradition says Muhammad's views changed. He started by preaching peace in Mecca. Then he switched to violent intolerance in Medina. The two layers are so different that they seem to have different authors. They use different vocabulary, styles, and priorities. So it's hard to attribute both to one person. Let's compare the layers. Lay Ray has about 86 chapters, revealed before Hijrah. It is finely written theology with skilled rhetoric. The scope is general. It recounts biblical and apocryphal stories as warnings. Events are called signs. It reconciles biblical tradition with its theology. Layer B verses are longer. It has fewer biblical references. It addresses the listener as you. It features moral rules and legal codes. There's also a new rhetoric, fighting enemies and unbelievers. The first layer may have been written by someone else. The second layer may have been added by Muhammad's followers, but this is still mostly a theory.